All right, guys, so we finally made it to the gym. We came to the Coliseum in Woodhaven, New York. Awesome hardcore gym. Getting ready to trash some legs. All right, what's going on today is we got a leg day in store. We're gonna do 4 quad movements followed by 2 hamstrings and 2 calf exercises. Exercise number 1 is a squat press. What we're doing here is we're gonna do 4 heavy sets. We're gonna aim between anywhere from 10 to 14 repetitions each set. When I'm getting set up here in the leg press, what I'm doing with my feet is I'm keeping them within shoulder width, okay? So this will be shoulder, I'm inside shoulder width, and my feet are a little bit low. The reason I'm low is the higher we bring our legs, the more hamstrings we're gonna activate. The lower we bring our legs, the more quad we're gonna activate. If I wanted to build the more inside of my quads, what I would do is I would go beyond shoulder. So feet wide, it's gonna hit the inner quads. The higher I bring them on the platform, the more hamstrings I'm gonna activate as well. So we don't really want hamstrings at the moment. I wanna focus more on quads. So we're gonna be somewhere in the middle on the lower end. So when I'm pressing, what I'm aware of my tempo. Now, tempo doesn't mean come crashing down with the weights and exploding back up, okay? Not training my joints, my knees, my hips. I wanna avoid injury. So I control the way down, 1, 2, and back up, 1, 2. So it's about 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down on the leg press. Exercise number 2 is the barbell back squat. When I do the barbell back squat, I'm aiming for at least 4 heavy sets. So I wanna work up to 275, maybe even 315, depending on how I feel, and stay there for a good 5, 6, 7, or even 8 reps.
Over the past 20 years, I've dedicated my life to health and fitness. I traveled the world, met some of the greats, and learned about what works and what doesn't. Now, it's my time to give back and share what I've learned.
And now I get the question a lot. I happen to have incredible flexibility and range of motion, so I just go very low on this, but I get it a lot. Do you have to go ass to grass in order for it to count? And the answer is no. Everyone has their own range of motion, so you need to go where you feel comfortable. I say go about parallel to the floor. You don't really have to go past unless that's your comfort zone. Another thing worth noting, guys, again, just like the leg press, I like to keep my feet within shoulder distance. I don't want to be too spread out. I can generate more power this way, but in bodybuilding, it's all about creating the outer sweep. So we keep our feet closer within shoulder to build that outer sweep in the quads. Yeah. Now that I've already talked about foot positioning a bunch in this workout, I want to talk about positioning on the bar. Sometimes you can get a stiff neck if you rest the bar too high on your neck. You might get a lot of pressure up there. Instead, what I like to do is, instead of keeping the pressure on my neck, when I go underneath, I bring it underneath my trap muscles and I'm retracting my shoulder blades back, creating a kind of cup, and it kind of holds the bar in place. Exercise number 3 is a great one for those that can't barbell back squat. A lot of people that have too much pressure on their back. A good alternative is the dumbbell front squat. The reason so is the weight isn't behind you, it's actually in front of you. Retracting shoulder blades back, controlling, exploding and squeezing up. Let's do 4 sets, 10, 12, or even 15 repetitions per set. We went up about 20 pounds. The weight's starting to get a little heavier. Usually I go up to like 100, 110. When I get to this point, it's gonna be a little more difficult to lift this dumbbell off the ground. So what we're gonna do is brace ourselves on our elbow, and we're gonna kind of row it up to our knee, use our knee as leverage, and get in position. Now, believe it or not, this is actually one of my favorite quad movements, the Goblet Squat. In fact, training at home, this is always my go-to. Barbell back squats, and then I would do my Goblet Squats with the dumbbell. You could do this at home, you could do this in a hotel gym, you could do this at your conventional, full equipped gym. There is no substitute for this, guys. Like I said before, especially if you have pain, joint pain, knee pain, back pain, this is a great alternative. Exercise number 4, it's the last one we're gonna do for our quads. It is the leg extension. You might be confused because a lot of athletes prefer to start with this machine. I prefer to end with it. I don't really get much out of this movement besides the stretch, so I'm just using this to draw in more blood in the already pumped up quad. And if you haven't guessed by now, we are doing 4 sets like we've done the entire workout. We're gonna do a tough 15, 20 repetitions per set. Similar to the leg press, really focus on tempo. It's easy to do this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's slow it down. Let's recruit some fibers. Let's tickle some fibers in those quadriceps and start forcing yourself to grow. Fifth exercise is the first hamstring movement. We are doing traditional, old school walking lunges. Now, one tip I want you guys to keep in mind is I'm driving through my heel, okay? So as I step, what I'm feeling is calves, hamstrings, quads, and glutes. Pulling through my hips, driving through my heel, not the tips of my toes. And if you ever feel like quitting, just remember, there's footage of Ronnie Coleman doing this at the end of his workout with 315 on the bar. Exercise number 6 is the last hamstring movement. It is dumbbell stiff leg deadlifts. We're gonna be focusing on those hamstrings. What I want you to keep in mind when you're doing these stiff leg deadlifts, there's a few things. Number one is, what we're emphasizing is pulling through with our hips at the end. But not only that, as we start to descend, our back is gonna go outwards, okay? We're gonna go towards that wall back there. So as we go down, we're bringing our butt backwards, dumbbells close to the shins, and driving our hips back forward. Again, we're going backwards with our butt. As we thrust forward, we're going in with our hips. End the workout. It's a necessary evil. I know by this time you probably want to skip out on calves. It's probably the worst thing you could do, because in order to grow your stubborn calves, you need to stimulate them 3 to 4 times per week, guys. So think about it. When you're not training abs, you must be training calves. Now, what I chosen to do today was an incline raise and a seated calf raise. All right, I don't want you guys to count sets or reps on this one. When you get to this portion of workout, I want you to pick your 2 favorite calf machines, or calf movements rather, and superset them. Now that could be 4 sets, it could be 5 sets, 6 sets. Go crazy. Once you start losing the pump, once you stop feeling the calf muscle, then that's when you know you can call it quit. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to visit my channel. I post awesome training videos, nutrition videos, and everything else you can imagine. And the link's in the description. Peace out.